So over this past weekend, we of course had Pokemon Go Wild Area, the global event. And I wanted to take some time to kind of look at 2025 in retrospect and talk about the major events that we had and which ones I felt like were really good and which ones could have seen some improvements. And that's what this video is going to be all about. Alright, how's it going everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So today I want to talk about the major events that we had this year. We of course had 3 of them, and it seems like for the foreseeable future, we're going to be getting 3 major events every single year within Pokemon Go. We of course had Pokemon GO Tour, which was the first major event this year, and then in the summer we had Pokemon GO Fest, and then later on, and of course, what happened most recently was the Wild Area event. Now, out of these 3, let me just get this out of the way, I think the Wild Area event was my most favorite, and the reason for that is because of Mighty Pokemon. I think the introduction of Mighty Pokemon has definitely been a game changer, and has definitely elevated the Wild Area event as my favorite major in-game event. I really like the idea of Mighty Pokemon. The fact that you could encounter high IV Pokemon that are potentially XXL and higher levels than level 40, like overall it's a great experience to come across one. And if you get a shiny one, that's also really exciting because the chances of it being a Shundo or a high IV shiny is extremely high. So it's always a really good grind, like going out and looking for Mighty Pokemon, and I think it's probably one of the major highlights for the Wild Area event. But if we want to look at all of the other major events, I think there are definitely some things about them that are major standouts, and I think it's best that we talk about them. First and foremost, let's talk about the first one that we had, the GO Tour event. I think the good thing about the GO Tour event is that it is a major event during a time where usually there is nothing much going on in Pokemon Go. In the beginning of the year, there really isn't too much that players could look forward to. The GO Tour event this year was themed around the Unova region, which means there was a huge emphasis on 3 legendaries in particular: Kyurem, Zekrom, and Reshiram, and they also introduced the fusion forms for Kyurem, finally in Pokemon Go. And I think this was something that got a lot of players excited. One of the reasons in particular was that these 2 fusion forms of Kyurem would have an adventure effect, and these adventure effects were actually really good. And I think there was a lot of excitement this year just because of these 2 fusion forms, and I felt like the GO Tour event was really successful, and something that was really exciting compared to previous years. And I think for the next following year's GO Tour event, there's certainly a lot of things to look forward to, but out of the 3 major events that we had in 2025, probably the GO Tour event was the least exciting, and that's actually saying quite a lot because I still felt like this year's GO Tour event was a huge success. And that leads us to the second major event that we had this year, and that is of course the GO Fest event. And it was themed around Crown Form Zacian and Crown Form Zamazenta, and both of those Pokemon definitely drew a lot of excitement. And I will say the major highlight for this year's GO Fest event was not necessarily just these 2 Pokemon, but it was the introduction of the Golden Bottle Cap, which definitely got a lot of players really hyped up for Pokemon Go. I knew a lot of players who essentially quit the game, that they came back just specifically for the Golden Bottle Cap, and then on top of that, getting both Crown Form Zacian and Crown Form Zamazenta was also equally exciting. Very similar to the fusion forms of Kyurem, they came with a bunch of adventure effects, and these adventure effects were tailored specifically to Dynamax battles. And I really felt like this was a phenomenal Go Fest. Was it one of the best Go Fests that we ever had? I would disagree with that, but it certainly was one of the better ones that we've ever had. And for me, I actually attended the live in-person event in Jersey City, and I will say it was a very good time. And there was just a lot of fun to be had, and I think they did a really good job with this year's Go Fest, and I really hope next year's Go Fest follows suit. And that leaves us with the last major in-game event that we had this year, and that is of course the Wild Area event, which we just had, and I totally recognize that maybe I'm going to be very positive towards the wild area event, specifically because it just happened and I had a very positive experience. But in my opinion, it was a really great time, and Niantic did a really good job with this year's wild area event. The Mighty Pokemon pool was actually really good. There were certainly a lot of different Mighty Pokemon that I was really excited to go after. One in particular was, of course, Garchomp. I think even though I already had a Shundo Garchomp, the idea of getting myself another Shundo Garchomp was definitely really exciting. And I'm not necessarily sure if this was something that they did last year, but they also included some legendaries in the spawn pool for Mighty Pokemon, specifically off of Incense. So there were possibilities of you picking up either Azelf, Mesprit, or Uxie, and they would be Mighty, which means they would have a much higher IV floor. And then on top of that, if you were to pick up a shiny of it, it's going to be a high IV shiny. And the chances of it running away were also lower because you of course had those Safari Balls. So there was just a lot of really cool stuff with this year's GO Tour event. In fact, I even picked myself up a 98% shiny Azelf, which was a major highlight with this year's wild area event. And then I also picked up a 96% shiny Beware with the costume, which was another really exciting thing. And then on top of all of that, they released a new bottle cap, which was the silver bottle cap. Sure, it's not necessarily as impactful as the golden bottle cap, which increases all of the IVs of your Pokemon, but the silver bottle cap was still a really good addition, and it made the wild area event that much more rewarding. So yeah, all in all, I will say that the in-game events that we had this year, specifically the GO Fest event, GO Tour event, as well as Wild Area, were all really successful. And I really do think this year needs to be the bar that Niantic needs to set for themselves for future years of in-game events. I think next year, if the Wild Area event, the GO Tour event, as well as the GO Fest event is as good as they were this year, then it's going to be really good for Pokemon GO's future. And something else I'm really excited about is that next year with Pokemon GO Fest, it's going to be held here in Chicago, which is my home city. So I think that's awesome, and there's definitely a lot of really nice things that are in store because it's going to be leading up to the 10th anniversary of Pokemon Go itself. So I think a lot of players are just expecting Niantic to have such a huge home run of a Go Fest next year. My biggest prediction, and I totally recognize that I say this every single year, but I really do think next year's Pokemon Go Fest is going to be the event where we're finally going to be getting Mega Mewtwo, and I do think that's going to be the major highlight. And if it is, that's incredibly hype because we're finally going to be getting the most powerful Pokemon in Pokemon Go, and I think that's definitely going to draw a lot of players to get really excited about the game. So yeah, that's really all I had to say regarding the in-game events that we had this year. Again, Pokemon GO Tour was probably my least favorite out of the three, but I still really enjoyed it. Pokemon GO Fest was also really good this year, and probably my second favorite in-game event. And then of course, the Wild Area event was my favorite, and I felt like it was a huge step up from the previous year. And when it comes to these major in-game events, they're probably one of the best things about Pokemon Go, and I hope Niantic continues to do them. And that's going to be it for this video. Definitely share your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. Is there something in particular that really stood out to you regarding the major in-game events or anything that I said? Definitely share what that is. And yeah, let's have a great discussion. And also share your thoughts on the in-game events that we had this year as well. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here, and also that notification bell, don't forget it, because that way you know exactly when I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to every single one of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Constant Slow channel, if you want to support everything that I do, the best way you could do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. And if you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to personally add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. So for all the good stuff in Pokemon Go that you do with your friends, like doing remote raids or opening and sending gifts, all that good stuff. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. I'll put a link to it in the description below. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you can do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms you see right now on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. And also, I opened up an Etsy store, and if you want to get yourself a really cool gift themed around K-pop and anime, then make sure you go and check it out, especially because the holidays are coming up, and if you have a K-pop fan in your life, then make sure you go and get a gift for them through my Etsy store. Yeah, that will definitely support me as well. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself today, and I'll catch you in the next one.